Welcome back to Spotlight. I'm having a terrific discussion. Actually, not a terrific discussion, a fantastic discussion with brother. He was like terrific, terrifying. I guess it could be terrifying in some ways, but a fantastic discussion with Brother Ray Harris, attorney at Law Reform Commissioner. We talked about the legislation that had been developed and the importance of some of the legislation to our advancement and our growth and development as a community, as a territory, as people. And always, I think, with you, Brother Ray, and with me to a certain extent, and always when we get together, we go to things spiritual, which I think we both feel is at the heart of the matter. Mm-hmm. Now, I think that perhaps you could define, and excuse my language, but give us a sense of when you talk about spirituality, what exactly, or what are we talking about?
Look at it this way. See that we were talking earlier about laws, for instance, mm-hmm. important laws that the commissioners worked on. One of the reasons I've always found it possible to do what I do, which is the analysis, research, writing of laws, chairing meetings, is because I feel we're merely emulating the Creator, the source, mm-hmm. the omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent source of all that there is. Because from the beginning of time, there were immutable laws through time to ensure that this creation evolves into whatever we call God mm-hmm. intended. Just like you have the law of, say, in physics, law of buoyancy. It's a basic law. If you know it, you could go to the ocean, which you all are encircled with, and learn to swim. Enhance your physical well-being. Build a boat. Go to Jost Van Dyke, Virgin Gorda. Move around. Go to other parts of the world. Enhance your well-being. Or you could drown. It comes just like the immutable laws of creation. Spiritual laws. Right now, science, they talk about quantum physics. And everybody's amazed. Remember, there was a documentary that came out around 2 years called The Secret. Mm-hmm. Reality is, it's no secret. These laws have been immutable through time, but there are some people who have kept it a secret. The basic concept of spirituality is that all life is of substance. By what do I mean by that? You have a glass with liquid substance. It's being held by a solid called glass, encircling it and keeping it from falling on the table. So you have liquid substance, solid substance. You take that liquid, furthermore, you put it in a deep freeze, it becomes solid substance. You bring it back out in the atmospheric vibration, it becomes liquid substance. You put it in a pot, you put a fire under it, like God's Son, it becomes gaseous substance. So you have gases, liquid, solids. All a matter of frequency and vibration of substances. Mm-hmm. It's a basic law. Spiritual teaching says what? Faith is the substance mm-hmm. of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And it tells you that all things in the seen world come from the unseen. Right there, they're literally showing you that there is a certain malleability of your environment. You see the point I'm making. Okay. And more, people have to understand that as a basic law of life. The basic law of life is all life is of substance. And that is why what you think about comes about. Because in reality, whatever you intently, with emotion, which is energy in motion, you think about, you imprint on your reflecting ether like a transparency, and you attract to yourself. So there are certain basic laws. That's what the law of attraction was all about in The Secret. Mm-hmm. Now that attracted a lot of people because everybody wants things.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So that was powerful. You notice Yeshua the Christ, or Jesus the Christ, said what? Whatever you desire when you pray, accept that you've received it and it shall be yours. All these are explaining exactly what I'm saying, which is spiritual substance is very malleable. We only deal with the gases, liquids, and solids because we're in the three-dimensional plane of the earth. Earth is merely a schoolroom that spirit souls incarnate in flesh. Didn't Yeshua the Christ, the Masu, indicate to you, this is the temple of the living God? So it's actually told to people, but in reality they do not realize basically that the core of life is Edwinka looking at me through those eyes, smelling, hearing, tasting, touching. That represents the 5 gateways to the city of God. The more we live outside consistently, but never deal with the divine essence, the divine spirit that is looking through those eyes right now, giving you that conscious experience we call an earthly experience, is because of this divine spirit within you. Otherwise you'd have no life.
What's the difference between what you're talking about and religion?
All religions have a spiritual core, but their dogma, their doctrine may be a bit different. Why? Simple. When Yeshua the Christ came on this planet, the way he expressed himself and was on keeping with the culture of the time. They were fishermen, they were different people. He explained things in a way, although you remember he always said that a lot of symbology is used within the Bible. And it's even there said it quite clearly that it may be in symbology to those people like allegorical statements, but to those apostles close to him, he explained to them
but the same as me.
Troops. For instance, look at a simple one that people talk about all the time. Your feet. Watch the path of your feet. You notice they showed you the Messiah washing the feet of his disciples. To the average simplistic onlooker, wow, there is the master watching his subordinates' feet, so to speak. Humble. Yeah, it shows humility, but the deeper esoteric understanding is your feet represent your desires. He was washing their desires of earth clean to put their desires one pointed on God. Because think of it, right there in the same Bible that we always quote from, what do they say? How do you overcome this earth schoolroom? You've got to be in this world, but not of this world. So the desires of the world have to pass away. And as long as you keep, let me give you another inner teaching that is crucial. The bridegroom and bride story. The bridegroom is the indwelling Christ, the divine spirit. In Kemetic doctrine it was referred to as Osar. Others in other cultures, Atma. But it's the divine spirit. In Christian parlance, the Christ within. That's the bridegroom. The bride is the Ejuenka, the ray, the persona, the ego that has developed, the soul aspect. The soul must submit to the spirit, which is the bride must submit to the bridegroom. I know certain ladies with this gender struggle may not, but that's the Judo-Christian reality in the teachings. So when you say, when the bride and bridegroom comes together, no man can put asunder. So when you get married to a young lady or a lady marries you, it is two human beings going through a physical ritual, but really dealing with a much deeper esoteric reality where both of us have agreed to assist each other in realizing the fullness of God's grace within ourselves. So we are mutually assisting each other to realize and know self and realize the spiritual reality within ourselves. That is the deeper meaning of marriage. And as long as people don't approach marriage that way, marriage will not succeed. If it's not based on a spiritual core, it's not going to succeed.
But we would have to learn. We would have to learn that. Are we being taught the things that you're talking about? No, it doesn't. It seems to me that we are not being taught those things, and we therefore can't have an understanding of them, and we can't manifest them out. So, what needs to happen? I mean, is it something that is it something that, and you talk about teaching little children spirituality.
That's where you're going to start.
That's where you're going to start. But now, what can we do for the adults? How do we get that information that develops the human being to the point where he or she understands their value and significance on the earth and to each other?
Of necessity, as we said, and that's the perfect place to start. Let's not lose another generation. Let's focus on the young. But as regards those mature heads that already have their prejudices, their likes, their warps, their dislikes, but I'm still saying this kind of dialogue, this kind of frequency of thought. Remember, God dwells within each human being, you know. So many times when people come to me who have never even read a book and I say something to them and it's like a vibration in their own soul, because that knowledge is within them. Wisdom dwells within you. So that kind of frequency of thought like we're dealing with right now literally awakens truth within each human being. And more of this type of dialogue is important. It's good to talk about politics. It's good to talk about law, man's law. It's good to talk about economics and finance. But if you want to get rid of all this chaos and the degradation that is going on, not just in the Virgin Islands, globally. But as we're small, it's beautiful. Not because the whole globe is going down like a sewage. That we have to go down too. And the point I'm making is, the key. And that is why, for instance, between me and you, besides laws and so on that I'll be involved in drafting, my humble quest would be to develop a PowerPoint display which could be filmed right here in this studio with all, if I'm talking about breath and the importance of breath, you have a demonstration behind me going on. And that kind of thing could be taught where life is a spiritual journey in the flesh. I intend to do a PowerPoint and all the different laws, be it of love as a frequency, why it's important to live love. I'm going to tell you something. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, first I want to open up the phones in case anybody wants to call, make a comment, ask a question. The number's going to come up on the screen, 446-1949 and 442-5277 is on the screen. So you can call, make a comment or ask a question. But one of the things that I find challenging is understanding the language. It seems to me that we have become so far removed and so steeped in religious doctrine that we misunderstand the core values in the religious doctrine, and we seem to be having a challenge understanding what is actually being said and what actually needs to be done, or what our responsibility is in our spiritual growth and development.
Part of the problem, I would think, is this. Each person belongs to a various different religion. Everybody wants to be chosen. Everyone wants to be the one that's saved. And therefore, there's a lot of divergent views on, be it if you're a Catholic or a Methodist or you're an Anglican or you're a Baptist. Or right now, look at what's going on in the world between Muslims and Christians. Slaughter. So, with all due respect, the reality is, as much as religion is excellent and it has served its purpose, you better believe that if you also go through history, a lot of slaughter has gone on because of bigoted views. And that's what I'm saying to you. Religion is excellent, but people become very bigoted about whatever religion they belong to. And that's why I'm saying it's sometimes good to get certain core values that exist in Islam, in Buddhism, in Hinduism, in Christianity. We are more a Christian-based environment. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, but there's similar values. And therefore, it doesn't prevent you from being a Christian to learn about why it's important to live love. It doesn't hurt you to realize that as you sow, so shall you reap. You do not fool God. In other words, there are certain basic values that are throughout all. And I'm saying that the highest ideal the ultimate source and creator, the God concept, is the highest ideal. And my attitude about spirituality too is that you must eat, drink, live your spirituality in every facet of your life. People must start to understand the laws, and that's why more and more, if we can talk about the basic laws, all life is of substance, life is malleable, show people how you in fact manifest things in life. That's the kind of things that I'm interested in dealing with. And therefore people can understand even in their practical life how, for instance, look at a thing like imagination. Look at imagination. Everything in this room, look around this room, everything in this room came from someone's imagination. So imagination is a powerful tool that God has given you to be a co-creator like Him. Now, you could imagine a lot of negative things as well, but a lot of good stuff as well. And that's why I'm saying that imagination must be used, and there's a way to use imagination to imprint your ideas and visualize that which you want to create in your life. For instance, you know...
All these things we have to learn, because, we do them, some of them we do automatically without recognizing that that's what we're doing.
So we need a conscious awareness.
We need a conscious awareness of what these rules are, these practices are, the ritual that empower you to do the things that you're talking about.
Let me give you an example. And just today I was talking to a doctor and it came up. I'm going to talk about it now because it's such an important thing. You always hear love is the fulfilling of the law. Basically, that's the teachings of Yeshua Christ, love. Teaching of Buddha too. Teachings of Krishna as well. Reality is, people just think, "Whoa, that's altruistic, unconditional love is something we can never attain." But remember, the same Yeshua says, "Be perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect."
Well, they teach you. Well, that's right there. Forgive me for interrupting you.
Yeah.
But you hear from certain religious doctrine that you're born in sin,
and that's
you're a sinner, and man is not perfect, and he never will be perfect.
Thank you. So therefore, already you've had a concept instilled in your subconscious mind. I'm a sinner. I'm a sinner. I'm a sinner. So you're a sinner. Amen. You have affirmed it. And that's the point I'm making. But the same Yeshua said, "Be perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect." And the things that I do, you too can do. All these things are right there. So clearly there's a disconnect.
So I continue to be a sinner because I've accepted from birth that I'm a sinner, and there's really nothing else I can do but sin.
But it's just like what I said in the beginning. Here are two people not getting along, who loved each other passionately and now hate each other passionately, and a child comes out from that union. And therefore all the pain and suffering between the mother and father, and then the mother looks at the child and says, "You're stupid and ignorant just like your father." You better believe it has an impact for life. And it's just like saying, you could never be good, you could never be perfect.
You wouldn't amount to nothing.
Thank you. Same concept. Let's go back to the concept of heart, because it's a simple thing. And I'm going to show you how science now is proving what all the sages and the avatars like Jesus Christ and others have said. Think of it. Love is a certain frequency. Just like in my book I write about love, when it says you love thy enemies, and the reason why you must, because there's an electromagnetic field around each human being according to the thoughts and desires of your heart, and the food that you put in, the blood supply that you have, you're a certain frequency. Just like a radio station or this channel is a certain frequency, and you can tune to likewise each human being has a certain frequency. So here's a situation. They tell you to love thy enemy. Think of it. So, oh, that's altruistic. Look at what doctors have found out. Here is a heart surgeon who, this human being, takes heart from one human being and puts in another. And what this great surgeon found out is that when you do heart transplants, he's finding that this person who has got this heart, there's always some change in his character and personality. And when he checks people from who knew the person from whom he got the heart, that trait was always exemplified by this other person that he got the heart from. It triggered the power of a heart and the impact it was having even on the character of people receiving hearts from other people. Then they did further research, realized that the heart center of a human being, the electromagnetic frequency is hundreds of times greater than the brain. far superior to the brain. Furthermore, it's the most powerful system, emanation from the heart. Do you know what basically Dr. Paul Pusol has prescribed, and his hospitals are using it, and they're getting all kind of healings in cancer and all kinds of problems. Immunologists come in and check. You know what all they're doing? Every time the mind, because we talked about the mind tonight, we all know thousands of thoughts pass through our minds every day. Many of them we wish they never came. They come into your mind, they take over your mind. Next thing, for half an hour to an hour, you're so depressed, thinking about something you can do nothing about. Think of it. All this doctor and these physicians get their patients with this so serious disease to do. Every time a negative thought comes in, instead of going up on a trend of thinking, they tell them to automatically put their mind on their heart center and breathe from the heart. Just physically, mentally feel like you're breathing from the heart for a little wrong a minute, not more than that, and merely ask themselves, what is the best thing to do in this situation? You get a heart-centered response, which is usually a much more loving response than the mind, because the mind tends to be selfish. I'm telling you. That's all they did. And you know what happens? The immunologist comes in and checks the immune system, immediately has strengthened up. People are getting healed of all kind of disease better than any drug, merely from constantly putting the mind on the heart, breathing from the heart, and making heart-centered decisions. Because you know what they found out? The same way like how binaural beats entrainment work, meditation technique. You know, binaural beats now, we have two hemispheres of the brain. If you put on earphones, if you're not disciplined enough to do meditation, some people can use this. Let's say there's 101 beats in the right ear, 100 beats in the left. There's a mathematical difference of 10 beats. Automatically, both hemispheres of the brain tries to synchronize. So it makes what they call a binaural or ghost beat of 10. And as long as it's entrained for around 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes, automatically the brain wave slows down to 10 hertz. In other words, the mathematical difference. So you can actually alter the brain waves by entrainment from beta, like you're now, 12 hertz and above. Alpha is when you're very focused or you're just about going to sleep. That's between 8 and 12 hertz. Theta is when you're dreaming, when you're sleeping, between 8 hertz and 4 hertz. Delta is real powerful when the HGH hormones and so on come out to replenish and build you overnight. That's why it's important to sleep. That's entrainment. Likewise with the heart, what they've found, in that the heart is hundreds of times more powerful in emanation, electrical, magnetic emanations than any other part of the body, as long as you get the heart centered on a love principle, where you always make decisions from the heart, brother, all disease are being healed, because that is the main entrainment center. All the other systems fall in line. It's like a pendulum. You know these old grandfather's clocks with the big pen? That's how they found out about entrainment, you know. There was a gentleman who had a whole set of them in his office, 12 of them. And there was the one with the big father pendulum swinging. All the pendulums are swinging at different times, not synchronized. They did that purposely. Next morning, every single clock in the room was swinging in synchronicity. Because the main one, the biggest one, all of them entrained. The doctors have found that when you get that heart right, all other aspects of the system of the physical body falls in line and it heals you. Love is the fulfilling of the law. It proves what the spiritual teachers are teaching. So science more and more excites me because it's proven, not just with quantum physics, all life is energy. The sage will tell you all life is substance in vibration. The doctors now, medical people, the immunologists are checking your body. Your immune system has improved. The whole system. People are being healed better than any drug. And there's a whole book. Let me tell you the name of the book because I want other people to read it. It's called The Heart's Code. And it's written by Dr. Paul Pusol. P-E-A-R-S-A-L-L. So the pronunciation, not important, but get that book. The Heart's Code. It's a whole book tracked with scientific data of that hospital that's healing all kind of diseases through the method I'm saying. There's another one called Heart math. Heart math is one word. HERATMATH, solution, by Doc Child and Howard Martin. Same scientific data. So the scientific world, that's the point I'm making, is now catching up with the spiritual world, making our life much easier now.
Before they were apart, there's like never the twain shall meet.
You understand?
Yeah. Now, we'll be following it at 8 o'clock. So what I'd like to do is for you to give us some practices that we can engage in to bring our spirit to a level where we are functioning, in a better way.
To my mind, the most basic, simple disciplines for any human being to follow. Basic 3 things I would just throw out. And then there are others, a lot of others, but let's just deal with these 3 because they're so important. Prayer, that everybody knows about. Prayer, devout supplication and thanksgiving to God or the object of worship. And we all pray. Okay? This may get a bit esoteric, but I'm going to say it. How it works. People say, why pray? Whatever you pray for, you see this body, gases, liquids, and solids, biochemical body. It's made up of liquids, solids, and gas. You sometimes hear the gas moving inside the stomach. Fact of life. But interpenetrating this gases, liquids, and solids body is a chemical ether, life ether, light ether, and reflecting ether. 4. So there are 7 subdivisions of the etheric realm of this earth planet. Anytime you think strongly about something you desire, just like how a person takes a picture and you know these kind of transparencies, you go in a dark room and it prints literally on the reflected ether. Another reason why you should try to keep calm through meditation is that anytime you get angry and emotional, it shatters your image. So you'll never be a good creator. You'll never manifest the things in your life you want. That is an esoteric truth for those who have eyes to see and ears to hear. That's one thing. So prayer is important. Meditation, very important. Some people will say prayer is talking to God. Meditation is listening to God. What do they say? Be still. Be still and know God. In silence, you know Him. Meditation is crucial, and every day of your life you should. Let me tell you why. Think of even the hurricane is a beautiful example. And if you notice, even our solar system and the atom, you have your neutron, electron, protons are wrong. You have your solar system, the sun in the center, planets are wrong. Hurricane, boy, we know that so well. We're still in the hurricane season. All in September. It used to be September, remember, but now September, look out. Okay, even the hurricane, at the center of the hurricane is the eye. You and I could fly in a plane. 170-mile-an-hour winds, people getting killed, houses destroyed, plantations wrecked. If you had a choice, it's a no-brainer. Would you live in the 170 miles an hour wind? Unless you just want some extra excitement? Oh no, you where it's calm. When you meditate, there are many techniques to meditate, but basically it's stopping the chatter of your thoughts. And it's getting to the center of your being where the divine spirit dwells. That is the God principle in you. If you stay away from your center and you continuously look through the window of your eyes, smelling, tasting, touching, hearing, and being ensnared by your outside, it's chaos. The chaos you're seeing in the outside world is the chaos of people's inner world. And the world will always be chaotic if they do.
We are manifesting the chaos in our
inner world. Because we're not getting to the source of our being, which is right there in the temple. It's just like saying, think of it. If I'd given you a beautiful home with a lot of glass windows, with fantastic scenery, there's a river passing, waterfall, some serious animals and birds, a lot of attraction outside. But there was a basement with 22 beautiful tile steps going down, and a huge, beautiful mahogany door with gold handle. But you're so caught up with what you're seeing outside. Out the door you go.
You won't go in. You won't go to the basement.
You aren't going to the basement at all. And if you open that door, in the basement, everything you could ever desire is there. In other words, within you is the doorway back to God.
So prayer, meditation, because we run out of time.
Affirmations. Affirmations is important in the sense that the same way we tend to have a lot of negative thinking. You know, you may have gone on a stage when you're a young man and you had to give a speech. And as soon as you went to the mic, it started to ring and make noise, and all your partners in the crowd start to heckle you. And it was a terrible experience. God, you never want to go on a stage again. It's a bad experience. And therefore, in your mind, you'll affirm for your own self, boy, I'm not very eloquent. Please keep me away. Keep me away from crowds.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Because you have been programmed. The subconscious mind accepts it. It's not going to discern, you can't speak. You're a blunder. You can reprogram the same way you can change XP for your computer and put Windows Professional 7, you can reprogram your subconscious mind through affirmations. And affirmations, the best time to do affirmations is when you're in the alpha state. See, when you're just about going to sleep at night, just drifting off, to affirm something that you need. Anything. It can be doing it. Even the guy who had such a bad experience on stage, who now needs to go on stage because his job now that he has got means he has to talk to people every day. He can affirm, I can cast the burden of my life if you're a Christian on you, my Christ, and I go free. The most eloquent speaker that there is. You better believe you affirm that after prayer, you reprogram the mind. Because as soon as you're going to sleep, you say exactly what you want to affirm. As soon as you're getting up in the morning, when you're just a little groggy or still in that state of being, you affirm what you want to do. And likewise, affirmation and imagination goes hand in hand. Use it in a positive way to create the life that you want.
We have to leave it right there.
No, by all means.
Yes, we have to leave it right there. Brother Ray, I couldn't ask for better.
Yeah.
Couldn't ask for more. Thank you very much.
Love to you, my brother.
Peace and blessings.
Always.
Yes. Yes. And we're going to miss you.
Yeah.
I
would love to just say this last thing.
Yes.
I would just like to thank Virgin Islanders generally for the love, respect that I've received. It has been an enjoyable 10 years. Obviously, from the time you're on planet Earth, there are little struggles, but it makes you be aware that you're still down here. You in the Virgin Islands are blessed. You have something special. Hold on to it. The little suggestion I made about early childhood education, it's extremely dear to my heart. I'm not in any doubt that if the Virgin Islands implements that in their early childhood education scheme, in 10, 15 years, I don't want any blessing special for it, but we're going to reap the harvest. You'll see a difference in the crop of people coming out. Because that's where we're missing it. We can talk about politics, we can talk about tech work, we can talk about all. They are important. But you better believe if you get that spiritual core right, seek ye first the kingdom of God and all these things will return to you.
That's it right there.
That's it.
That's it right there.
And God bless you all. Love to all the people that are listening to this program.
Thank you, my brother. Next week, the spotlight is going to shine on 4 beautiful young ladies vying for the title of Miss Teen BVI. So we're going to have a lot of fun. We always have a lot of fun when our young people engage in discussions and running for pageants and so on. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And I have met these young ladies, and I think it's going to be a great program. So and they seem to be really intelligent and have it on the ball. So I'm looking forward to having this interview and the showcase in our young people next Tuesday right here on Spotlight. So make sure you tune in. Thank you for watching as usual. Thank you for your words of encouragement, your suggestions, your criticisms. Continue to email me at jtvspotlight@yahoo.com. Spotlight, of course, is rebroadcast every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. on Channel 5, JTV Channel 5 right here. And you can hand the Spotlight. You can go on jtvlive.net and get any Spotlight program you want, you miss, parts you need to catch up with on jtvlive.net. I'm at your anchor reminding you that when the Spotlight is on, you see the facts. Peace and blessings.
Spotlight is brought to you by the National Bank of the Virgin Islands, Tortola Concrete Limited, and CCT Global Communications.